Hi there and good morning. On the back of the thin ice trap in the Alatorsev Gambit in the Botvinnik system of the semi-Slav, this one is called the thinner ice trap, where white was totally in command yet can easily slip up on the ice. We're going to more or less follow the course of the game Gulko against Vera Gonzalez Orvedo from 1999, where Gulko went on to win, but we're in fact looking at some of the devilish sidelines for black. After d4, d5, c4 and c6 is the Slav defense, knight c3, e6 and knight f3. Black plays knight f6 and bishop g5 is the Botvinnik system, where black can try to get some play on the queen side with d takes on c4, later supported by b5, but it's going to give white a stronghold in the center with e4. After d takes on c4, e4 is played, b5 supports the pawn on c4, but now the e pawn pushes on to e5 and hitting that pinned knight on f6. Well, of course, black's not losing a piece because black counters with h6 hitting the bishop. The bishop withdraws, maintaining the pin, bishop to h4. g5 hits the bishop again, and that allows this sacrificial line with knight takes on g5. Hardly really a sacrifice, because when black retakes with h takes on g5, bishop takes on g5, and we just put those moves in, h takes g5, bishop takes g5, black's going to play knight b d7, and white's going to get the piece back with a very double-edged position. That's the main line of the Botvinnik system. But after knight takes on g5 by white, black can try the Alatorsev Gambit with knight d5. This is named after Russian GM Vladimir Alatorsev, and it's been played on occasion by Timon, Sveshnikov and Lyubovich. So after knight d5, that's going to allow white to play the obvious knight f7, releasing an attack on the queen. So after queen takes on h4, white picks up the rook on h8. Bishop b4 by black, pinning the knight on c4. In the previous trap, the thin ice trap, we looked at the move queen d2, but slightly more common is rook c1. That's the move we're looking at now. That's been played by Shirov, Nikolic and Gulko. After rook c1, black has to be active here because he's materially down. c5, threatening now c takes on d4. If a3 by white, then c takes d4 anyway, so white tries d takes on c5. Knight d7, the knight wants to capture on e5, or in some variations maybe on c5. And now bishop e2, white wants to castle. Knight takes on e5, white castles, and bishop b7. Now the bishop joins the attack. White tries knight takes on b5, rook d8, and very dynamic position. White is in fact winning here in this position. White can try moves like bishop to h5, the bishop supported by the queen, check. That's going to ensure white has a steady yet perhaps even shaky advantage. It's a meaningful advantage, but it's a little bit shaky because black has many active minor pieces there with a strong attack. Also good for white is to play knight to d6 check, and white should maintain advantage. This move queen a4, as played by Gulko against Vera Gonzalez Orvedo in 1999, not the best move. It looks menacing. It's inviting a discovered attack, but black is actually doing okay here. Black can play bishop c6, and after queen takes a7, bishop takes on b5, and that's going to be around equality. But rather than play bishop to c6 to close off that discovered attack, far more interesting is knight to f4. And after knight f4, white does have a discovered attack, but it's actually quite innocuous. Well, what can happen? If knight back to d4, then rook d7. Black blocks the check with d7. White could just about hold now with knight to g6. But if white tries the obvious looking pawn to c6, looks quite good for white, but here white is actually losing. Bishop takes on c6, and it's actually game over in all variations. Let's have a look at some of them. If knight takes on c6, then black has a beautiful win with knight takes on e2. After king h1, knight g4 threatens mate on h2. So h3 stops the mate, but the queen now can zigzag her way in. Queen g3 offering herself up. The queen threatening queen h2 mate. The f-pawn can take the queen. The only defense, f takes on g3, but after knight takes on g3, king g1, the bishop's going to mate, bishop to c5 check. White has to give up some pieces, knight d4 interposing, bishop takes d4, rook f2, and bishop is beautiful, minor piece checkmate. Going back, so knight takes on c6 in this position is losing for white, and if queen takes on b4, then black wins again with queen to g5, threatening mate now on g2, and if g3, then knight h3, checkmate on the move. So this has been a trap in the Alatorsev Gambit of the Botvinnik system of the semi-Slav. It's called the thinner ice trap. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.